My dear student, thank you very much who are participating today. I'm Saiful Islam, Assistant Teacher English, City Government Girls High School, Chittagong. Today my topic is completing a story, and this is an essential part of our English subject, especially in the first paper. We generally try to complete the story as a part of our education and examination. So our life is full of stories. Every day we are making stories. Some are written, some are not. So everybody has his or her own story. But we should know how to describe it proper way, in an interesting way. So story becomes a story when it is interesting. Something boring cannot be a story. We do not want to listen. So today's topic, how to write a story, how to tell a story. As an important part of our education, our English first paper, especially from class 9-10, this is a vital part of our practice. So completing a story, today on the whiteboard we see the completing a story. Before writing a story, before making a story, we have to think about what are the elements. First of all, every story has three parts. Number one, beginning. And with the beginning, we must have an environment. And definitely, every story has a conflict, a problem. When somebody wants to do something, there must be a problem. It may be visible or invisible. It may be created by himself or herself, or created by somebody else. Even the conflict may be from external power, or sometimes it may be from environment. And definitely everything has an ending, so the story has an ending also. So we have the three parts. First of all, beginning, conflict, and ending. And our story always contains in a triangle. So every story has a triangle. The starting point of the story, and this is the extreme point of the problems, how to face, because the story rises. Then in one point it cannot move, then it falls. So it comes to the end, C. So this is the triangle of a story. So everybody wants to, who wants to write the story or make a story, definitely think about a triangle, right? So this is a story design. So every story has, of course, characters. These are the important, very important parts, characters. There must be a hero or a heroine, or a villain or anti-hero. These are the characters. Some supporting characters may be there. And every hero, every heroine has a goal or target to reach. So at this point, the hero or the main character wants to reach the target, but in the meantime, the problem arises. So the story becomes a story when the main character overcomes the problems, then he or she reach up to the goal, then it becomes a story. So I think you have understood already. So every story has a goal and target. Suppose I want to say suppose an woodcutter used to cut wood in the forest. Near his, this is the beginning of a story. Okay, so we can proceed some up to a little bit in a small environment, or through 2 or 3 steps advance. So the woodcutter is the main character. So the woodcutter wants to live in an honest way to lead his life. So in this point, he used to cut wood in the forest near his village, and then he sold wood in the market, suppose, and livelihood, suppose. But problem arises then. But one day, what happened? But one day, when he was cutting wood, suddenly his axe made of iron slipped off his hand. It fell into the lake nearby. So this is a problem. Here the problem, this is the starting point. So every story has definitely a problem. The writers should create the dramatic situation on which the story moves. So in this environment, we should have to give all the elements that are related to the climax and conflict and ending. So the forest, near the forest, yes. Then we can also, there's a something lacking in the story. That means one day when he was cutting wood, suddenly his axe made of iron slipped off his hand. So what happened? His axe slipped off. It might be on the ground. No, we have to create another situation for this, because his axe fell into the lake. How did it happen? So we should create another part of here, that the forest near his village. We can create another point here, that the forest was near a lake. So we have to create another elements here, because it is necessary in the next part. So the lake has a special importance in the development of the story. So near the lake. So while the woodcutter was cutting wood, the axe slipped off his hand and it fell into the lake, because he was cutting wood on the bank of the lake. Okay, so we have to think about how to create the dramatic way. But what happened next? This is the conflict. Okay, this is the conflict. Conflict means problem. So after environment, it is environment. This is conflict. So after conflict, there is a solution definitely. Then comes solution. How to solution? How to come to solution? Then coming solution. As it is a story of fantasy or something miraculous story. Okay, it is a miraculous story. You can create fairy or genie like this fantasy for the story, fantasy story. So the woodcutter was in deep depression. He was very upset. He was crying, weeping, and the environment was very grave and sad. After his weeping, we see a nymph or a goddess from the lake raised. Okay, the solution comes here. So what happened? He fell into the lake nearby. The ex fell into the lake nearby, so he couldn't find it. Okay, find it. It was his only means of earning. It was only a means of earning because he is a woodcutter, and his only tool is to cut the wood is the axe. So he had nothing else to live his life. So in this moment, we can see at the moment the solution is there. When he was crying, he was weeping. Okay, we should create this next part, that the woodcutter, what the effect, it is called effect. The woodcutter was very sad and was weeping because he had lost his valuable tool of cutting wood. So what to do? Because if he had lost his eggs, definitely he would not have anything to earn money, and his family will starve. They will have to have a lot of problem. So he was weeping. He was in a great mode and sad mode. So after hearing the cry, then the solution comes. How? Then solution. But we should not mention these topics. These topics we should not mention. We should not write it. But we have to have in mind that then coming solution. Suddenly, then we see suddenly a water goddess or nymph, whatever, came out of the lake and asked him why he was crying. The woodcutter told her his sad story, how he lost it, how he lost the eggs. So the nymph or the goddess became very, very sympathetic to the woodcutter. As the woodcutter was honest, he in his telling of the accident, the nymph became very much sympathetic to him. So the water goddess dived into the water. Then we see water goddess dive into the water. Goddess became very sad and dived into the water and lifted an axe made of gold. So the water goddess or the water nymph dived into the water and lifted a golden axe and asked the woodcutter whether the golden axe was his or not. As the woodcutter was very, very honest, he said, no, it is made of gold. My axe was not made of gold, so it's not mine. So water goddess became very, very impressed, and then she brought another axe. It was made of silver, and accordingly the woodcutter said, no, it's not mine. Finally, the nymph went into the water again and lifted up another axe made of iron. Then the woodcutter became very happy. Yes, this is mine. This I have slipped. I have lost my axe. This one mine. So water goddess became very happy because of his honesty, and the water goddess gifted him 3 axes because he was honest. The 2 rest made of iron, made of silver, and made of gold, 3 axes, and the 2 costly or precious axes were for his honesty and as a gift of his honesty. So after the story, we have to think about definitely 2 things. One is, what is the message and what is the title? So we cannot make a story, we cannot make a title of a story at the beginning. Completing the story or finishing the story, we have to create the title. Then according to writing of different people, the story's title cannot be the same always. So we have to finish the story, and after that we have to come to the title. Okay, then we can give a title of the story. So, title of the story, what would be the title? An honest woodcutter. An honest woodcutter. This is the title. Many times we see people write directly the message of the story. It's not necessary, because if you directly say the message in the story, what is the use of telling so much a big story before the audience or before the reader? So the reader will automatically understand the message of the story. So we should not write the message of the story directly. We can indirectly mention the message of the story. So the honest woodcutter, you can give the title as you like. It may be honest woodcutter or somewhere, or a woodcutter, or simply a woodcutter, whatever it is. But title is a must. Without a title, you cannot. A story is an incomplete one. So, honest woodcutter is the title of the story. But at the ending of the story, you have to indirectly, not directly, indirectly create the message of the story. Because as the woodcutter was honest, he was gifted by what? The name. So this is the message that an honest man is awarded always. Okay, this is the story. Okay, my dear students, we have just a little attempt, took a little attempt of completing a story. You know how to write a story, how to complete a story, but the story technique is changing. We had to use the story before, total a long story, but now the story is going to be completed by 10 sentences now. So you have to think about the beginning and the problem and the solution. By this, you have to create 6 to 7 or 8 lines by yourself. So these are the completing a story. In fact, not more than 10 lines. 10 lines contains 10 marks. So your story is complete. Slowly, you will write a very good, write good stories step by step. So I will expect a homework from you, how to complete a story. I can give the beginning of the story, then you can complete the story, and you will just put in the Facebook messenger box about the homework. I gave you the beginning, story beginning. One day a fox was walking through forest. Suddenly, it fell into a trap. The fox tried hard, but couldn't come out. Now, this is the story beginning. Here the fox is a character, main character, walking as a day-to-day activities, and in the forest. It is an environment. Suddenly is a problem. Suddenly it fell into a trap. This is the problem. So after this problem, you have to complete the story and come up to the ending. Okay, so character and environmental problem. After this, we can complete the story. Okay, I will expect this activity from you in the next activity next day. So you will just complete the story and come to the Facebook's Messenger, and we can see the how you have done it. Thank you very much for the first activity of you online, and there are some problems in our facilities because of light and sound, sometimes the environment or noise, a lot of things because of corona pandemic problems around the world. So definitely slowly we'll do many things better than the before. Okay, thank you all.